Welcome to Life Recovery Today, brought to you by New Life. If you're feeling stuck in addiction, grief, anxiety, or broken relationships, you're not alone. Over the next half hour, you'll discover practical tools and biblical truth from the 12 steps of life recovery, designed to help you heal, grow, and thrive. Because recovery isn't just about what you're giving up, it's about who you're becoming. Whether you're new to recovery or looking to go deeper, we have resources to guide you. Bibles, workbooks, devotionals, and real stories of transformation. You can start your journey today on your own, in a group, or through your church. Visit newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to take the next step. This is your time for healing, hope, and freedom. This is Life Recovery Today.
Hello, welcome to Life Recovery Today. I'm Becky Brown. I'm your host today, and I'm so grateful that you joined us. We here at Life Recovery Today want you to know that recovery is for everyone. Whether you're struggling with an addiction, or you are in relationship with somebody with an addiction, or maybe you just need a place to understand why you feel stuck in your life. We have offered help and hope to so many different people over the years, and we want to be part of that for you. On today's show, we're going to have Corey Busk, who has been on our show before, has shared before. But today, Corey's going to share with us about how the story of the prodigal son has an impact in our own recovery journey. Now, you've heard that story many times, or even if it's a new story for you, I think that you're going to gain insight into how this impacts your life in recovery. Corey's been in recovery for many years and is now a vice president of a treatment center where he helps other people find recovery and freedom in their own life. Perhaps you've wondered how the word impacts our life of recovery. Well, that's what we're all about here at Life Recovery Today. We want you to see where the Word of God and our recovery principles and the 12 steps all interact with each other and make a powerful impact in the lives of so many people. Let's listen in.
Hey everyone, I am Corey Busk, and here with you today to talk about a three-part series on a story that most of us are really familiar with if we've grown up in the church scene. Now, a little bit of background about me is that I am someone who is in recovery. I am in recovery from years of alcohol use and abuse, and in about 2020, the Father just came for me and helped put people in my life in programs and rehab and things like that to start finding and living out some freedom. And so I start there to say that if you are someone who's tuning in and you are in recovery or you're thinking about recovery for yourself, I'm super proud of you. The fact that you're even tuning in and you're watching anything about recovery is a huge step. And for those of you who have had some hours, some days, some weeks, some months, and some years in recovery, I'm super proud of you. I know that it's not easy. Freedom from addiction seems like something that would be easy, but somehow, some way, we get ourselves into such the thick of it that living a life of freedom can sometimes be hard. And so I am super proud of you for how far you've come. If you're a family member of someone who is in addiction or living a life of recovery from a substance to anything else, that also I just want you to know that I see you. And that I know you're probably tired and exhausted because when folks are in recovery or in addiction, it really does spread through the whole family. And so that is also what we're going to talk about today, is how does our choices and the way that we live in addiction affect us and affect our family and affect our siblings and our parents and our friends. And I remember when I first went into a treatment program that I did not realize how much I was affecting so many people. There were a couple friends that I had known that I was affecting their life, but I just did not realize the reach, and I just did not realize the hurt that I had spread around. And so, well, we are going to talk about this story of the prodigal son. Now, I said if you have been in the church scene for a while, you know this story. And what my friends and I have affectionately come to know it as is the prodigal family. It's not just the prodigal son, it is also the prodigal family, because there's also other characters involved that sometimes we miss out on talking about, or sometimes we miss out on seeing. And so, those of us who are in the addiction, we're in the story. Those of us of our family members, they're in the story. All the emotions, I think, are in this story that we go through to get to a life of recovery and a life of forgiveness. And the old is gone and the new has come. Um, and so what we're going to do is first, I want to draw us to the attention of just the whole chapter of Luke 15, which is where the prodigal son sits, this parable. Now, Jesus is talking to a group of people, and we don't exactly know if something prompted these three stories, but in Luke 15, Jesus talks about three different stories. The first two are shorter. There's one about the parable of the lost sheep, where he will leave the group to go find the one. There's also the parable of the lost coin and the searching for this lost coin, because there's so much value in it. And then we come to this story, which is the longer of the three, where Jesus talks about this family. He brings up this family, and I will read some out of my Bible. I hope it's okay. If and I use the NLT, you can use whatever you would like if we're in and we're following along. But to really paraphrase, just this first part focuses in on just the younger son. So there's a dad who has two sons. And the younger son comes to his dad. He says, I want my share of your estate before you die. I want my share. So his father agreed to divide his wealth between his two sons. Now, for those of us who have parents that are very fair, my automatic thought was that it was a 50-50. And so after doing a little bit of research and finding out that actually customary in that time was the older brother was to get 2/3. And we're gonna hold that for a second, because that we're gonna come back to that whenever we're in part 3 talking about the older brother. But this younger son goes to his dad and he says, listen, I want my part of the estate. Now, for those of us who have been in substance addiction, now this would be a dream. This would be a dream to go to your parents or your family who has money or estate and to say, hey, I would assume that, now this is not in the text, but I would assume there was a desire, or there was already something going on before he came to his dad to say, I want my share of the estate. I want the money. And I would assume back then that's what would have to be done. Some land may need to be sold off, maybe some livestock or some crop would need to be sold off so that he could, unless they just had just a huge chunk of change, that he would be able to get this portion of his inheritance. Now, some of us who are in active addiction, and people don't really know, right? So we don't know from this version or from just the info we have from this parable. But let's just say that he did have a history that he was now trying to get money to then amp up. What's interesting is that those of us who are in recovery, those of us who have lived this isolated life, who lived a life of manipulation, or even stealing from our family members, that is something that we do as those of us who are in addiction sometimes. We will take things from our relatives so that we can get some money. That he just goes straight to him and he says, I would like this. And his father, we already start to see the father's heart. We're going to talk more about the father in part 2, but we already start to see the father's heart for this son. And so he gets his inheritance. And a few days later, he packs up everything. So he gets what he needs. He packs up his stuff and he moves away to a distant land. And in my version of the Bible, it says, and there he wasted all his money on wild living. Now, those of us who have been in addiction, we know what this looks like. When I was in my rehab program, they had us calculate and they had us look at our bank account to see how much had we spent. And I'll tell you what, I could have probably paid for a house with the amount of money that I spent, if not even more. And to see that number and to see where I had gone in such depths of just spending my resources on this addiction was just wild to me. At about this same time, his money ran out and a great famine swept over the land. And this is also something that I also love about those of us. I love this, and it may not be great. Is that those of us who are in active addiction, we are also very, very good at finding ways to make money, and so that was something that this younger son did. He persuaded a local farmer to hire him, and the man sent him into the fields to feed the pigs. And the young man became so hungry that even the pods he was feeding the pigs looked good to him. But no one gave him anything.
Are you going through your struggles alone? Do you want someone to talk to help you through your pain? Do you feel like a failure when you relapse again, telling yourself, next time will be different? Don't walk this path alone anymore. Join a life recovery group today and be a person that your friends and family can be proud of. God created us to be in community, and we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country, and if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. Life Recovery brings recovery to you, right where you are. You'll take a journey with others to find healing and freedom. Whether you're looking to join a group or start one, New Life Ministries is here for you.
Visit newlife.com/groups or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
It's hard to find a trusted friend when you're in crisis, someone who's been there and understands, but who also has the training and skill to give you practical help. Family, friends, and churches want to help, but often they're not equipped to care for those dealing with problems like addiction and pornography, infidelity, anger, depression. New Life Ministries is here to provide help and hope in life's hardest places. We're not focused on making people feel better. We're focused on helping people do the work that will help them be better. At New Life, we have resources available to help you, like books, DVDs, CDs, workshops, and our network of licensed counselors. If you need help, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and begin your new life today. Life recovery isn't just about making the courageous choice to give up an addiction or dependency. It's a journey towards health, wholeness, and becoming your very best you. If you need resources to help you in your journey, we can help. There are many life recovery resources that you can do on your own, with a group, or with your church. We have Bibles, workbooks, and devotionals that you can use to work your recovery right where you are. That's the beauty of life recovery. To learn more or to get the Life Recovery Bible or any other life recovery resource, visit liferecoverytoday.net or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hello, welcome back. Isn't it amazing to hear how that story interacts with our life in recovery? The reality check in our lives when we consider the resources that we waste in our addiction and the shame that prevents us from stepping into a life of freedom and recovery. We really want to do better to experience that full and that freedom that comes from recovery. Let's go back and listen to Corey as he shares more about this story.
But no one gave him anything, and that really does happen. I mean, when we're in recovery, no one gives you anything. And I think it's not just because people don't want to give you anything. I really think it's because the life of addiction is so lonely and it's so isolating. And the next part I love, verse 17, when he finally came to his senses. Now, I remember before I started in recovery, I had a few friends who, three in particular, I can think off the top of my head. Actually, there was four major signs. There were three really good friends who really, they came to me and they said, I think that there is something going on. I think that you might be drinking a little bit too much. And then the third actually was a flight attendant on a flight where she was concerned by the volume that I was consuming. And so those four people. Now, I had not come to my senses. And so when you are in this state where you are in active addiction, and someone comes to you and they say, hey, I really think that we may have a problem, or that, I'm really concerned about you. They're doing it out of love and out of grace, just like my friends, and just like that flight attendant did, that they are coming out of concern and love. However, addiction being so lonely and so isolated that it's almost a vulnerable thing when someone can see you. And we get offended when someone comes and says, hey, out of love for you, friend, out of love, I think something might be going on. And we get defensive, and the walls go up, and we shoot back some daggers with some words so that we can push them verbally and emotionally, just push them away because they got a little too close. They got a little too close. They saw a little bit too much. And then finally, we come to our senses. And he said to himself, at home, even the hired servants have food enough to spare. And here I'm dying of hunger. And so he's comparing, okay, so this is not a good situation. I have really, really gotten myself into a bind here. And he comes up with this plan, and whether he truly means it or not, for family members and friends who have had those of us in addiction come to them time and time and time again, because it can be frustrating. Because what the next part is he comes up with this plan, and he says he's going to go to his dad and he's going to let him know that basically, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Please take me as your hired servant. Now, with the family piece that I was just mentioning, a lot of times what we'll do in recovery when we come to our senses is we will call that family member that has helped us before in the past. And we will call the family member that maybe we haven't quite burnt the full bridge, but we've definitely put some damage on it. And so we'll go to them time after time after time, and we'll say, okay, I am sorry I really messed up this time. I really messed up. And I really need you to take me back. Now, this is his first time. And those of us who are what I call repeat offenders, that go back to our family member over and over, and our family takes us back over and over and over again. Whether he meant that or not, it didn't matter. It did not matter. Because what we're going to talk about in the next part of the series about the Father is what happens. Now, this portion, if we were thinking of the 12 steps, right? This portion actually, this would have been a really long, I think a long period of time. And this is why. Because when he finally came to his senses, we don't know what that exactly means. And for some of us, getting incarcerated, getting the consequences of our spouse maybe leaving, or our kids being taken from us, or our job being taken from us, or something usually happens where all of a sudden we're like, okay, like I am okay, all right, here we are. And so when he finally came to his senses, then if we get into like a 12-step group or a 12-step program, what he's saying is when he's setting up his amends with his father. Now, between step 1, when you came to your senses, you admitted you have a problem, and step 8 and 9, or whenever we get to amends, like that's a long period of time. There's a lot that goes on in there, and I don't want that to be missed for those of us who are early, those of us who are you or me that are early in a 12-step program. I just want you to know that those steps to get from the point A to the amends, there's a lot in between, and it should be something that you really focus in and you really go on to. But here's the thing about the amends. Let's say we are at the point, or he's at the point, he's about to make those amends, which he is. That is a hard step. Back in those days, they didn't have a cell phone. They didn't have a phone. They didn't have Facebook or text messages to send what he needed to send. His only communication was to go home. I mean, I guess he could have written a letter, but was to go home and sit and stand in front of his father and tell him, you gave me all of this and I squandered it. And I squandered it. The bravery and the courage. Now, he had come to his senses, so maybe some logic, but the bravery and the courage to go back home, I think, is just huge. Is just huge. And so I just want to, if you are at a place of amends in your own recovery, again, I am so proud of you. And you've been through inventory, and I would assume that's probably some of what brought him to his senses. That's an assumption that, if we're really trying to compare, I would just assume when he finally came to his senses, he admitted it a problem. And what's interesting is him saying, I am no longer worthy. I am no longer worthy. Now, I have been in a place, and maybe you have too, where your sense of self-worth isn't in the negatives. It's almost non-existent. And that sense of self-worth really can hinder or help the courage for this process that's being outlined in the prodigal. There's some friends in recovery, or whenever I got into recovery, that I needed to make amends with, and I almost didn't because I thought they're not going to see me as a friend anymore. The worth piece just wasn't there, and I just did not believe it about myself. And I don't necessarily think now, when we speak of us that are in addiction, this false humility of him falsely being humble, that I am not worthy, no longer of being called your son. I think that um, I think that you just need to know that you are worth it and you are worthy, and where you're at in recovery is where you should be. If you are at step 1 or step 12, or you're repeating the 12 for the 4th time, you are in a place that you need to be. And this for those of you who are still in active addiction and maybe tuning in, like it, I think there's a reason why you'd be tuning in active addiction, but just want you to know that you are worth it. You are worth the life of freedom. You are worth going back. You are worth still worth being a friend to and being a family member to. And in part 2 of our series, we're going to see an example of when we go back and we try to make amends, whether with people here on earth or with God, what happens. And I'm excited to go through that with you.
Thank you for watching today. I know that God's word does not go out void. And as we hear the story of the prodigal son and we connect with how that impacts our life in recovery, it will change our life and those around us. You know, whether it is a part of this parable that you reflect on, that you say, oh, I feel more like the older brother, or I feel like the prodigal son, or maybe you feel like the father. Whatever role this story brings out in your own journey, just know that God's working in all of this. The fact that the 12 steps give us a plan and a process to move forward, and the fact that the Word of God is living and active and powerful in our life, that combination is dynamic. If today is the day that you've recognized, you know what, I need to take another step in the right direction towards my recovery, whether it is the recovery of how to deal with a family member who is dealing with addiction, or maybe it's your own addiction, there is help and there's hope. There is a new life waiting for you. Please reach out to us. You can call us 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You can go to newlife.com. There's so many articles and tip sheets that can get you in the right direction, or join a life recovery group. We have them all over the country and in many different forms. We want you to learn that recovery is hope-filled and that there are more than enough people to join you in this journey. And maybe you're part of the prodigal son story, but maybe you are waiting for that freedom. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us for Life Recovery Today, where we believe your past doesn't have to define your future. If you're ready to take the next step, we're here to help with Bibles, workbooks, devotionals, and more. Visit newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Your journey to healing and freedom can start right now. Until next time, stay hopeful, stay courageous, and keep moving forward.